Hello, this is Miss Lindberg, and I am going to do a demonstration of what I am looking for in the poetry audio discussion by reading Lady Lazarus. Lady Lazarus is one of the poems on our poetry reading list. This is a poem by Sylvia Plath. Lady Lazarus. I have done it again. 1 year in every 10 I manage it. A sort of walking miracle, my skin bright as a Nazi lampshade, my right foot a paperweight, my face a featureless, fine Jew linen. Peel off the napkin, O my enemy. Do I terrify? The nose, the eye pits, the full set of teeth, the sour breath will vanish in a day. Soon, soon, the flesh the grave cave ate will be at home on me. And I, a smiling woman, I am only 30, and like the cat I have 9 times to die. This is number 3. What a trash to annihilate each decade. What a million filaments the peanut-crunching crowd shoves in to see them unwrap me hand and foot, the big strip tease. Gentlemen, ladies, these are my hands, my knees. I may be skin and bone, nevertheless I am the same identical woman. The first time it happened I was 10. It was an accident. The second time I meant to last it out and not come back at all. I rocked shut as a seashell. They had to call and pick the worms off me like sticky pearls. Dying is an art, like everything else. I do it exceptionally well. I do it so it feels like hell. I do it so it feels real. I guess you could say I've a call. It's easy enough to do it in a cell. It's easy enough to do it and stay put. It's the theatrical comeback in broad day to the same place, the same face, the same brute amused shout, a miracle, that knocks me out. There is a charge for the eyeing of my scars. There is a charge for the hearing of my heart. It really goes. And there is a charge, a very large charge, for a word or a touch or a bit of blood or a piece of my hair or my clothes. So, Herr Doctor, so, Herr Enemy. I am your opus, I am your valuable, the pure gold baby that melts to a shriek. I turn and burn. Do not think I underestimate your great concern. Ash, ash, you poke and stir, flesh, bone, there is nothing there. A cake of soap, a wedding ring, a gold filling. Hair God, Hair Lucifer, beware, beware. Out of the ash I rise with my red hair, and I eat men like air. Okay, in terms of 3 um, poetry terms that apply to this poem. There are tons of them. There's lots of simile and metaphor, both. The first simile is here, my skin bright as a Nazi lampshade. So I'm comparing 2 things, skin and lampshade, using like or as, which is an example of a simile. The whole entire poem is in free verse. That means it does not follow a specific form, although it does occasionally use rhyme scheme or meter. Neither one of those are a set form or an established form. So she's creating her own rhythm and her own music here. Finally, there is anaphora, which is the repetition of words or phrases at the beginning of subsequent lines. And here we have it right here. I do it exceptionally well. I do it so it feels like hell. I do it so it feels real. So we have the repetition of those 3 phrases there. I do it, I do it, I do it. And then following that, it's easy enough, it's easy enough. So that's an example of anaphora, when a poet uses the same words and phrases in each line for a series of lines. And that's often used in free verse poetry, because free verse poetry has got to have some sort of form or skeleton to sort of put it together. And so that's a technique that's often used to great effect. Okay, there was a brief pause there. I'm back again, and I wanted to tell you my interpretation of this poem, or how I interpret this poem. This is one of my favorite poets. Sylvia Plath just did phenomenal work for a group of poets who are often referred to as confessionalist poets. She was also a very strong woman during a time when women were not given a lot of credit for their strength and their talents in American history. I'm not going to do a lot with the biography of Sylvia Plath, although it is fascinating. And if you have read The Bell Jar, that's her memoir about her experience with both mental illness and electroshock therapy, as well as her attempted suicides. She did attempt suicide several times during her life and was finally successful, if you can call it that, when she was a little bit older than this poem. And that's what she's talking about. Lazarus, as you know, is the story of the man who was raised from the dead. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. That's a biblical story. You can look that up. And she is speaking from the point of view of a female Lazarus, which is important, especially at the end. She does it right. She tells us right at the beginning that she has done it again. She has attempted suicide, or she has killed herself and then raised herself again from the dead. She tells us later in the poem that she's about 30 years old and she's done it 3 times. So she's done it 1 year in every 10. And all of the stuff about the Nazi imagery, the Jew Lenin, and then finally at the end, her use of the German. She was dramatically impacted by World War II, by the Nazi concentration camps. She didn't have any personal connection to it at all. It was just something that she felt deeply impacted by, and often used those horrific images in her poems to great effect. So she's using that imagery, that really emotional, really specific imagery, to sort of demonstrate the horror and the emotion and the power of that time period. You can, as you keep going, you see some of the specific images that she uses to refer to essentially her own corpse: the nose, the eye pits, the full set of teeth, the sour breath, that's the breath of death, will vanish in a day. The flesh, the body, will be in the grave cave. That's a great rhyme right there. She says that, like the cat, she has 9 times to die. And then the other aspect, the other element that really works well in this poem is that sense of performance, that she is essentially a circus freak, that her attempts at suicide and then coming back from the dead become this show, this circus act that she can perform for others. And one of the reasons why I chose this poem and why this really speaks to me is that sense of not addressing the causes of mental illness, but being sort of fascinated with it as a society, that we don't make light of mental illness, but we do turn it into something that we sort of whisper about. and it becomes a fascination. It becomes kind of like watching a train wreck, and we're intrigued by that, and we romanticize it instead of actually addressing it to try to improve mental illness in this country, in the state of mental illness. So that's essentially what she's talking about here. She says she may be skin and bone. She is an identical woman. And what's hard is performing this art. It's easy to do it and stay put. It's easy to die, but it's the theatrical comeback that's so exhausting. It's the after effects, the all of the whispering and the gossip and the being the source of all of this talk and the source of the whispers. That's the part that's hard for her. That's the part that knocks her out. And that's the part that speaks to me as well. So there is my brief interpretation of Lady Lazarus. I encourage you, I have this website linked on our course page. I encourage you to go to the related content and read not only some of the biography, but also some of the related stuff. This is an audio clip of talking about her work, and there's some articles. If you're more interested in Sylvia Plath, we've got lots of poetry there as well as what's in your book. Please enjoy.